First, I'm going to show you the current process for favoriting and manually tagging recordings in Hotjar and point out some of the issues our users are running into in this process. Let's start by looking at a recording. This recording shows a user navigating the homepage on our demo site. When they get to these customer logos, they start clicking on them, thinking that they're clickable when they're actually not. And they start clicking a couple of times and they're a little bit confused. Let me stop the recording there. So I've noticed some behavior on the homepage. So what do I do next? In the current process, you can favorite the recording to make a note just for yourself that won't be visible to any other members of your team that there was something interesting in this recording and you might want to watch it again later. You can also tag the recording, so to specify what it is you found interesting about the recording. So in this case, I might tag it as confusion. I'll create that tag because it doesn't exist already. And there's a tag for homepage. So I'll tag it as confusion and homepage. So what are the issues that our users are running into with favoriting and manually tagging in the current process? Well, first up, I've favorited the recording, and this allows me to see the recording in my list. It's labeled here as a favorite, which is great. It won't be labeled as a favorite for anyone else in my team, as I mentioned before. The other problem is in the recording itself with the tags. So I've applied the tags of confusion and homepage, but those tags are applied to the whole recording, not to a particular point in the recording. So I don't know where the confusion actually happened in the recording, or where they navigated to the homepage. This user actually navigated to a few different pages. So they went from the homepage to the pricing page to the contact page. So I don't know where these things happen in the recording. Also in my list, I don't see the tags appearing in the list. So I would need to add a filter for a tag and look for confusion and then apply that to see just the recordings that have been tagged as confusion. Now let's take a look at the new and improved process of creating a highlight in recordings. So we'll go back to the same recording, we'll remove the favorite and the manual tags, and we'll go back to the point in the recording where the confusion actually happened. So the user is trying to click on the non-clickable logos. I'll stop it there. And what I can do now is create a highlight. And this takes a snippet. It's defaulting to a 30-second snippet, but I can shorten it. So it just shows the point where the confusion happens. I see that by the click markers here. And I can then save it. I can label it with one of these standard labels. So there's bug, UI UX issue, confusion, frustration, success, or conversion. So in this case, I'm going to label it as confusion. I can add it to a collection. So in this case, I have an existing collection, which is homepage experience. I can create as many collections as I like for whatever it is, maybe for different parts of the website, for different teams, whatever it might be. So this I'm going to add to the homepage experience collection, and I'm going to add a comment because I haven't been able to specify here that this is to do with the customer logos not clickable for the rest of my team. And then I can even mention my colleague Emma because we're working on this homepage experience together. I can, at this point, I can download the snippet and add it to a presentation that I'm using to get buy-in from my team to make changes to the homepage, or I can share it directly. So there it is. I've added a highlight. The highlight now appears in the timeline at the point. So anybody else in my team who watches this recording will see that I added this particular highlight at that stage. When they go to highlights, this is what the highlight looks like. So it's just the snippet of the recording that I snipped. It shows the homepage experience, collection, the label, the comment, and we can discuss it and analyze it here. I can go back to play the full recording. As I said, I can share and download, and all of my homepage experience highlights are saved here. So some of them are snippets from recordings, some of them are heat maps. All of them are to do with the homepage experience. They help me to get a better understanding of what's happening on my homepage and to make the right changes. Another important point to note is that now in my recordings list, the recording we've been looking at is showing that it's been labeled as confusion and that I've left a comment on it. And myself or anyone else in my team can see that when they're looking through the recordings list. This wasn't the case as we saw earlier with manual tags. What we can see at the moment is that the favorites column and the highlights column exist side by side. So I can see recordings that I've favorited and recordings that have had a highlight added. This favorites column is going to go away. It's going to be replaced by highlights, because as we've seen, highlights does a much better job of marking the recordings that are interesting and insightful. So if you want to keep the ones that you've favorited, the best thing to do is to add a filter for favorites, apply it. So just the ones that you've favorited, in this case over the past 30 days, you can change that to last 12 months if you wish. And then just go over here to export list. Export to CSV or Excel. In this case, I'm going to export to CSV, and it will be, I'll receive the list via email. So I'll have for reference the ones that I favorited when favorites do go away and are replaced by highlights.